Have you ever stopped to think about why you were born exactly in the month you were born? Have you ever felt that there is something behind this date, something bigger than simple coincidence? Carl Jung, one of the greatest thinkers of the human soul, believed that the time of our birth carries a hidden symbol, an impression of what our soul came to seek and live in this life. What if your month of birth was a secret code? A silent map pointing the way to your inner journey? Maybe you felt it and ignored it. Maybe it was born in June, August, December, and never questioned why. But what if I told you that this choice, your birth month, was not random nor unconscious? You are about to discover something that can transform the way you see yourself and understand your own story. In this video, we will delve into Carl Jung's profound revelations and unravel what each month of the year represents for the soul that is born under his influence. What does the month of your birth have to say about you? The answer can change everything. People born in June bring with them an eerie stillness. It is not an empty silence, but a silence that observes. They are souls who were born to learn the value of time, not that measured by clocks, but internal time, the time of the soul. In a world that demands haste, those born in June seem to swim against the current. Think before acting, feel before speaking, observe before deciding. This may sound like indecision, but it's actually wisdom disguised as caution. Carl Jung said that there is an unconscious wisdom in our deepest impulses, and those born in June carry this gift. They are people who from an early age perceive things between the lines, who understand what has not been said. They don't need a lot of words, they need space. A space where they can digest the world before responding to it. These souls feel the world differently. As everyone looks outward for answers, they learn that there is another compass, the one that points inward. Therefore, those born in June often take longer to make choices, but when they do, it is almost always right. There is a fine-tuning between the heart and mind of these people. And this inner harmony, although fragile, is what moves them deeply. In the emotional field, they are intense, but they almost always hide it. They tend to protect their feelings with layers of rationality, as if they were constantly trying to balance what they feel and what they can show. This may make them seem distant, but in fact, they are just careful. Love, for these people, is a slow process. But when it happens, it's for real. There is also a tendency towards nostalgia. Those born in June usually carry within them vivid memories of childhood, sensations that come back with music, smells, or images. Affective memory is a strong point, and also a point of fragility. Sometimes, these people get stuck in memories, as if the past is more welcoming than the present. Therefore, they need to learn to let go. Release what was, release those who are gone, release the expectations they once created. In practical life, they are analytical, intuitive, and often surprise with precise observations. They can excel in areas that require sensitivity and strategy at the same time: psychology, writing, teaching, therapies, arts. They have a silent emotional intelligence, and even unintentionally, they are usually a reference for others. Friends, colleagues, or family members feel confident in these people, not because of grandiose speeches, but because they know how to listen. But there are challenges. The main one is too much introspection. Those born in June can get lost in their own inner world. You may have difficulty expressing what you feel, taking a stand, saying no. And this, throughout life, can generate frustrations. Therefore, these people need to learn that their silence is valuable, but that their voice also needs to exist. That it's okay to think before you act, as long as thought doesn't paralyze action. Another important lesson: trust yourself more. June people sometimes doubt their worth, over-compare themselves, or feel like they're never ready. But Jung already said that the soul is wise and knows its way. Therefore, trusting one's own instincts, even when they seem uncertain, is a necessary step for these souls to find their wholeness. The month of June represents the middle of the road. Neither the impulsive beginning, nor the conclusive end, but the point where the soul begins to truly listen to itself. Those who are born at this time carry the mark of emotional maturity and deep look. They are souls made to reflect, heal, and teach. Not with formulas, but with presence. With the simple act of being there, whole, even in silence. There is something in those born in July that cannot be easily explained. These people carry a gaze that seems to see beyond the visible. Not because they studied it, but because they were born with this gift, that of feeling what others do not say. The soul of July is sensitive, intuitive, and full of mysteries. It does not reveal itself all at once. It is like a tide. Sometimes it approaches with force, sometimes it withdraws in silence. Carl Jung believed that the unconscious manifests itself through symbols, emotions, and sensations that we often fail to name. Those born in July seem to have a natural bridge to this invisible world. From an early age, he feels things more intensely. He perceives the emotions around him, absorbs the atmosphere of an environment, captures the pains hidden in smiles. They are people who do not need to hear words to know that something is wrong. They feel it. For this reason, it is common for those born in this month to carry deep and complex emotions. They are souls who live with intensity even when they try to hide it. They may seem calm on the outside, but inside them, there is a storm of feelings, memories, and perceptions. They do not like direct confrontations, but they suffer when they do not feel understood. Therefore, they need deep bonds that are not only of presence, but of soul. The attachment to the past is strong. The emotional memory of these people is like a drawer full of letters that have never been read. They remember smells, touches, phrases, and moments with frightening precision. Sometimes that's beautiful, other times it's painful. For along with the beauty of remembrance also comes the weight of what has not been resolved. The soul of July needs to learn to revisit the past without drowning in it, to honor the memory without getting lost in it. In the family, they are usually the ones who feel everything the most. They can be the emotional pillar, even if they suffer in silence. They find it easy to care, to listen, to welcome. But they don't always know how to receive the same care. They are so used to offering laps that they forget to look for one. And this, over time, can generate tiredness, resentment, and loneliness. The lesson here is to learn to also position yourself as someone who needs it, not just as the one who offers. In love, they are deep, loyal, and intense. But they don't give their hearts easily. Observe. And only then do they surrender. When they love with their whole body and with their whole soul. But if they are injured, they take a long time to rebuild. Forgiveness may come, but the memory of the pain remains. Therefore, it is essential that they develop emotional self-care. May they learn to welcome themselves when they are not welcomed. Professionally, those born in July do well in areas where listening, sensitivity, and care are fundamental. Psychology, nursing, education, art, writing, therapies. Everything that requires empathy and depth makes sense to these people. They have the ability to touch others with simple gestures and to transform environments with just their true presence. But there are internal traps. The main one is excess absorption. July people absorb everything around. Energies, feelings, tensions. And if they don't know how to create emotional limits, they can get sick. Jung spoke of the importance of individuation. That is, the process of becoming who one is, even in the face of the world's expectations. And for those born in July, this is a fundamental task, to learn to separate themselves from what the other feels, to take care of what they feel inside themselves. These people need refuges, places where they can retreat, think, breathe. They need silence, art, nature. And above all, they need to allow themselves to stop without guilt. Because, contrary to what the world says, pause is not weakness. It is wisdom. And those who were born in July were born to hear what the noise does not reveal. Another important point, express what you feel. The soul of July tends to hold a lot, to hide your pain for fear of bothering you. But it is precisely when these emotions are shared that healing begins. No need to shout, just talk. Just allow yourself to be heard. And trust that your sensitivity is not a weakness. It is a rare force. Jung said that dreams are messages from the soul. And it is no coincidence that those born in July have vivid, intense, often symbolic dreams. These souls are naturally connected to the dream world. Therefore, Paying attention to dreams, writing about them, reflecting on their meanings can be a powerful tool for self-knowledge. At the end of the day, those born in July are here to teach the world how to truly feel. To show that depth is not a burden, but a gift. That emotions don't need to be denied, they need to be welcomed. That you don't have to be strong all the time, just be truthful. These people were not born to live on the surface. They came into the world to dive, to tap into the deep waters of the soul, and emerge from them with wisdom, empathy, and light. Those born in August arrive in the world with a different sparkle in their eyes. It is not just any glow, it is the one that lights up even in the midst of darkness. It is as if these souls carry a flame of their own, something that pulsates with intensity even when everything around seems to go out. Carl Jung said that every human being is born with a divine spark, and those who came into the world in August seem to have been born with that spark on fire. These people don't like to go unnoticed. Not because they seek applause, but because they feel they have something to show. Something that, many times, they don't even know how to name. But it's there, a burning desire to live meaningfully, to make a difference, to make a presence. And this intensity, when well channeled, turns into courage. It becomes leadership. It becomes transformation. The soul of August was not born to accept everything quietly. On the contrary, it questions, challenges, imposes itself. From an early age, these people show strength, but they are not always understood. Sometimes, his boldness is frightening. Its authenticity is annoying. But it is precisely because they do not fit into molds that they end up opening new paths. They came to awaken. And every awakening generates discomfort before bringing light. In love, they are passionate. They live relationships with commitment, emotion, and intensity. They don't know how to like it halfway. When they get involved, it's for real. But they are also demanding. They are not satisfied with lukewarm relationships. They want soul connection, truth in gestures, real presence. And if they feel that they are being deceived, betrayed, or diminished, they move away with the same force with which they approached. August also brings the lesson of pride. People who are born in this month need to learn the difference between dignity and rigidity. Sometimes, for fear of hurting themselves, they create an armor that prevents affection from entering. Jung said that true strength lies in recognizing vulnerability. And for those who have the soul of August, this is an essential key, to make room to feel without losing the center. These souls have a presence that imposes itself. Even without saying a word, they can fill an environment. They are naturally watched, admired, and often attract attention unintentionally. This can have two effects: either they arouse love and inspiration, or they provoke envy and resistance. Therefore, they need to learn to stand firm, without letting the opinion of others define them. At work, they have leadership energy. They don't like to be bossed around. They prefer to create, innovate, lead. They need space to show their value and freedom to decide their path. If they are pruned, they lose their shine. But if they are encouraged, they flourish impressively. They are great in professions that require initiative, creativity, and expression, such as entrepreneurship, arts, communication, motivation, teaching. But there are pitfalls. One of them is impulsivity. August people often act before they think. They respond with their hearts on fire, without measuring consequences. This can lead them to unnecessary conflicts. Therefore, it is essential to cultivate pause, breathing, and an internal look before reacting. The soul of August is intense, but it also needs to learn to be wise. Another delicate point, the internal charge. Because they have an energy of protagonism, they tend to demand too much. They want to get it right, they want to be able to handle it, they want to be big. But they forget that the soul also needs rest. Jung reminds us that we are not machines. We are beings in process. And those born in August need to accept that failure is part of it, and that they don't need to prove anything to anyone to deserve respect and love. These people carry a sense of mission. Even without knowing what it is, they feel that they are here for a reason. And this feeling, when listened to carefully, can lead them down extraordinary paths. But to do this, you need to silence the external noise and listen to the internal voice. The one that whispers dreams, intuitions, old desires. Because, deep down, the soul of August knows what it wants. It just needs the courage to take it. Spirituality also tends to touch these people intensely. Not necessarily linked to religions, but to the connection with something bigger. They can have profound experiences, feel the presence of the invisible, capture symbolic messages from the universe. They are souls open to mystery, and when they allow themselves to immerse themselves in it, they find strength that they did not even imagine they had before. In friendship, they are loyal. They defend those they love tooth and nail. But they expect the same in return. They do not tolerate falsehood, omission, or betrayal. And once they are disappointed, they rarely offer the same confidence. They are intense even in the way they cut ties. But not out of malice, but for protection, because they know how much they give themselves when they trust. August people have something that few understand: the need to live with truth. They cannot stand empty routines or superficial relationships. They need to feel that they are alive, that your days have a purpose, that your heart is involved in everything you do. And when they find that, they shine. Not arrogantly, but naturally, like a candle that was made to light, even when no one believed there was still fire there. Jung said that the soul needs to express its nature. And the nature of those who are born in August is this: fire, heart, intensity. They are beings who came into the world to inspire, to transform, to illuminate. Not with beautiful words, but with the strength of those who live what they say. Of those who surrender to what they believe. Of those who are not afraid to be. Those born in September usually carry a detailed, almost analytical look, but which, at the same time, is full of poetry. They are people who see beauty in order, care, precision. Everything has a reason. Nothing goes unnoticed. Jung said that human beings need to find meaning for the soul to flourish, and those who are born in this month seem to have been born precisely with this desire to understand. Not in a cold way, but sensitively, as someone who wants to decipher the world in order to live it with more truth. These souls have a silent sensitivity. They observe more than they speak, they feel more than they show. From an early age, they show responsibility, attention, dedication. They are people who care about the well-being of others, who notice small gestures, who notice when someone changes their tone of voice or avoids their gaze. Nothing is by chance for them. Everything carries a hidden meaning, and this realization makes them profound beings. But that same look can become a burden, because along with the gift of perceiving comes the tendency to demand oneself. September people are usually demanding of themselves. They want to do everything well, they want to be useful, they want to live up to expectations. And, therefore, they live demanding themselves, adjusting, analyzing themselves. Not out of vanity, but out of fear of making mistakes. For fear of disappointing. For fear of not being enough. Carl Jung talked a lot about the shadow, that side we hide from ourselves. And those born in September tend to repress their flaws, their most impulsive desires, their imperfections. They try to be good all the time. But, deep down, they need to learn that the soul is also made of chaos, doubt, contradiction. That perfection is not the path of the soul. It is acceptance. In love, they are careful. They don't give themselves up in any way. They need to trust. They need to feel safe. They need to be sure that there is reciprocity there. But once they trust, they are faithful, present, and dedicated partners. They like to build relationships based on respect, dialogue, and small everyday gestures. They are not big public demonstrations, but express love in attitudes. In a coffee made with care, in a note left on the table, in silent care. At work, they stand out for their organization, competence, and discretion. They prefer to do it well than show up. They are not interested in the spotlight, but they like to be recognized for what they deliver. They have a keen ethical sense, and feel bad when they perceive injustices or disorganization around them. They excel in professions that require analysis, precision, and sensitivity, such as medicine, psychology, accounting, education, writing, and research. But there is a risk, that of rigidity. People of September sometimes get so caught up in what is right, what is logical, what should be done, that they forget to feel, to improvise, to make mistakes and laugh at it. It is important to remember that the soul does not follow spreadsheets. It also needs lightness, spontaneity, poetry. And that control, when in excess, suffocates even what is most beautiful. Another delicate point is self-judgment. These people can be themselves. When they fail, they demand too much. When they can't handle it, they feel guilty. When they disappoint someone, they carry that weight for a long time. Therefore, it is essential that they develop self-compassion. May they learn to treat themselves with the same kindness that they offer to others. May they forgive their stumbles. Because only those who make mistakes grow. In the family, they are usually that reliable member whom everyone turns to when they need practical help or sensible advice. They are excellent listeners, although sometimes they hide what they feel so as not to worry anyone. They need, however, to learn that asking for help is also an act of love. That they don't need to carry the world alone. Who can be strong and, at the same time, vulnerable. Spiritually, they have a connection with the sacred that passes through detail. They can find God in a falling leaf, in a routine well done, in a simple gesture. For these souls, the divine is not only in the heights, but in the little things. And this sensitivity can become a very powerful spiritual path. When they stop looking outside for answers and start listening to themselves, they find a serene, discreet, but immense strength. Jung believed that the soul needs a purpose to flourish. And those who were born in September live in search of it. Even if they don't know how to put it into words, they feel that they have come for something bigger. They may seem calm on the outside, but they carry a volcano of questions inside them. They want to understand life, people, love, suffering. And, in this search for understanding, they end up becoming mirrors for those around them. They are often the calm in the storm of others. The rational voice in the midst of the confusion. But they also need to find someone who is that for them. That he offers them to be held, listened, patient. Because even the strongest get tired. And those born in September carry so much inside that sometimes they just need a safe place to rest. These souls were not born to shine with explosion. They were born to illuminate with constancy. They don't need noise to transform the world. They transform through silent choices, details, presence. They teach us that care changes everything. That order can be love. That the meaning is often in the little things. Whether in the silence of a look, in the adjustment of a detail, or in the relentless search to understand themselves, September people are true guides of the soul. And when they accept their light and shadow, they become whole. And whole, they transform everything they touch. Those who are born in the last months of the year carry within themselves the energy of closure and, at the same time, of rebirth. October, November, and December are not only the final months on the calendar, they are also symbolic milestones of the soul that has walked a long way, that has seen, that has felt, that has fallen, and that has risen. Carl Jung said that the process of individuation, the path to becoming who we really are, happens more clearly when we recognize that everything is cyclical. And the souls of these 3 months are deeply connected to the wisdom of the cycles. October is the month of reflection. Those born in this period usually have a sensitivity towards the other. They are people who see themselves in the eyes of others, who deeply feel the exchanges and relationships. They seem to be always open, receptive, but they also have an immense need for recognition. They are like mirrors. They reflect what the world projects, but they also absorb. This can be beautiful and dangerous at the same time. Beautiful because it creates true bonds. Dangerous because it can lead these souls to forget themselves. In childhood, they are usually affectionate, companions willing to help. They grow up seeking balance and harmony in the environments in which they live. They are uncomfortable with conflicts and have a tendency to mediate situations, even when they are not responsible for them. Over time, this can generate a silent fatigue, that of always trying to keep everything peaceful, even at the cost of one's own peace. In love, they are intense. They need to feel that there is exchange, reciprocity, presence. But they have a tendency to idealize the other, and this can lead to frustration. Jung already said that what we project onto others is often what we fail to see in ourselves. Therefore, those born in October need to remember, there is no completeness in the other, there is reflection. Completeness is born within, when one recognizes one's own light and shadow. November is the month of diving. Those who are born at this time usually have immense emotional depth. They are intense, mysterious souls who are not content with the surface. They feel everything strongly but rarely show it. There is always something stored, an enigma, a layer that no one reaches. Jung said that the shadow needs to be faced, not denied. And those born in November seem to have come into the world with this mission, to face their shadows, to transform pain into power. From an early age, these people show courage. Not the noisy courage, but the silent one. The one that faces losses, ruptures, transformations with firmness. When they fall, they don't beg for help, they get up. When they love, they don't ask for guarantees, they give themselves away. But inside, they carry deep fears. Fear of abandonment, of betrayal, of vulnerability. Therefore, they often seem harsh, when in fact they are only protecting a heart that feels too much. These souls have a strong connection with the unseen. Intuition, spirituality, inexplicable sensations. They dream clearly, pick up signs, read between the lines. They are like modern-day shamans, healers who first needed to heal themselves. When they discover this gift and take it up, they become guides for others. But they need to learn to trust. Trust that not all love hurts, that not every bond imprisons, that can be profound without getting lost. And then we come to December, the month of delivery. Those who are born in this time bring with them a broader soul, which sees far away. They are people with a generous spirit, an open mind, and a tendency to seek the greater meaning of things. They are inquisitive, idealistic, but also optimistic by nature. They believe that, in the end, everything falls into place. And that makes them inspiring. In their youth, they may seem restless, as if they are always looking for something. They travel, change, try, make mistakes, start over. It's as if the world is too small to contain your dreams. And in a way, it is true, because these souls came to expand, to touch lives with your hope, with your faith in the impossible, with your courage to start over. Jung said that the realization of the soul goes through the reconnection with something greater, and those born in December seem to have this connection from an early age. Even if they do not follow a religion, they have a natural spirituality. They believe in the power of ideas, in the beauty of life, in the power of truth. But they need to learn not to disperse, to transform their ideals into actions, putting your feet on the ground without losing your gaze in the sky. In love, they are light partners, companions, spontaneous. They like freedom, but they also value sincere bonds. They need someone who respects their independence, but who also walks alongside them with presence and truth. When they find that, they are loyal and inspiring. December people have a mission: to remind the world that there is hope, that the end of one cycle is just the beginning of another, that it is always possible to start over. But they also need to learn to pause, to look within, to take care of themselves with the same affection they offer to others. These 3 months, October, November, and December, close the cycle of the year and represent the maturity of the soul. These are times that call for introspection, recognition, detachment, and faith. And those who are born in them carry all this within themselves. They are souls made of closures and beginnings, of farewells and reunions, of depth, delivery, and vision. Jung teaches us that the soul knows when it's time to let go. And those who came into the world in these final months carry this wisdom in their blood. They know, even without knowing it, that life is made of cycles, that everything passes, that everything comes back, and that, in the end, only what is true remains.